It was at this house just behind me where Spotsylvania County Sheriff's deputies saw what they're calling a heinous crime had been committed.
Makes you wonder how somebody could do something like that.
Source close to this investigation tells me that she shot her roommates to death inside of this home.
Please call home. My granddaughter's missing, and we don't know if she's at risk of taking her life.
A different friend showed up to the sheriff's office, telling deputies Venable told her she hurt people and left behind a package which included cash and a note signaling she would take her own life.
Alyssa Venables faces 3 counts of second-degree murder, 1 for each of her roommates she's accused of killing.
This is 23-year-old Alyssa Venables. If judging by her appearance, you'd never guess her criminal record holds more slots than the average woman, but that's where you'd probably end up, just like her alleged victims. Searching through Spotsylvania General District Court records, Alyssa has a lengthy criminal history dating back to March 2019 that started with an alleged shoplifting or price-altering offense. Later that month, the original charge was amended to 1 count of entering property to cause damage. In December 2021, she was charged with petty larceny. In January 2024, she was charged with reckless driving. Then, on May 17, 2024, Alyssa was charged with assault and battery. The charge was in relation to an incident at her previous place of employment, which resulted in her being fired. According to reports, Alyssa got into a physical altercation with another staff member at a McDonald's outlet in Hilltop, Spotsylvania.
23-year-old Alyssa Venables was last arrested in this parking lot May 16th on simple assault charges at this McDonald's you see behind me in Spotsylvania County off Patriots Highway.
A co-worker who was employed along with Alyssa told reports of the aggressive nature of her attitude.
She was recently charged with assault over an altercation at the McDonald's she worked at last month. Here's a former coworker.
If something was wrong or something was irritated, she'd snap at you quick. She'd be just kind of in an irritated mode all the time.
An employee who was managed by Alyssa at the food chain recalls the demeanor and behavior she exhibited working with her. According to him, Alyssa had anger issues and was the type of person that doesn't care about anyone or anything. He even insinuated after the fact that he wouldn't be surprised if a firearm was loaded in her vehicle. One thing was certain with each charge: the crime she committed elevated its status. That should have been a good indicator of what is alleged to have come next. Being fired, Alyssa now needed to chart a new path. For whatever reason, a little while before or after that time, Alyssa found herself in the living quarters that housed a number of roommates at the 10500 block of White Street Court in Spotsylvania County. This met the criteria for a heinous crime to take place. The days went by, but things weren't going as planned in the roommate arrangement between Alyssa and those she stayed with. This, at the time, was unbeknownst even to neighbors in the vicinity of the home. 2 weeks went by and the situation reached a boiling point. Police state that on Tuesday, 4th of June, a friend of Alyssa contacted them stating something that immediately set off alarms in their heads. According to the friend, Alyssa was acting strangely and sent concerning messages, which prompted them to request police officers to do a welfare check at the living residence. Strangely enough, deputies received follow-up information from who they claim was a 5th roommate at the home. This time, the situation became even more urgent, as the roommate informed them of a deceased body at the house.
Deputies came here to check on Alyssa Venables after someone reported her, quote, acting oddly on Tuesday. And a law enforcement source close to the investigation tells me a 5th roommate found one of the bodies and called police.
The time is 10 p.m. Swift to the location, authorities were mentally unprepared for the gruesome sight awaiting their arrival. Officers slowly opened the door, making their way up the wooden stairs. With caution, they creaked open one of the upstairs doors to find 3 bodies, 2 men and 1 woman, with fatal trauma injuries about the upper body. Investigators canvassed the crime scene, trying to piece together who might have been responsible for the brutal attack. Based on the evidence found, their conclusion led them to believe Alyssa was the culprit, but no one could find or contact her. Spotsylvania County Sheriff's Office posted a wanted poster to the public for assistance in locating their prime suspect. It appeared the evidence they found was convincing, as Alyssa was already being charged with 3 counts of second-degree murder. The poster also informed that Alyssa may have shaved her head in an attempt to evade detection. They urged the public to be on the lookout for a gray 2009 Honda Civic.
Tonight, Spotsylvania Sheriff's deputies are searching for 23-year-old Alyssa Jane Venable. They say that she should be considered armed and dangerous. Let me move out of the way. A source close to this investigation tells me that she shot her roommates to death inside of this home.
Community-wide panic spread as what appeared to be a serial killer was on the loose. Neighbors were shocked that something so frightening could happen right next door.
For people living off Benchmark Road in eastern Spotsylvania County, news of what deputies say happened late Tuesday night, a triple murder, has hit too close to home in their peaceful community.
I was like, you got to be kidding me. And he said, man, somebody's been getting shot and apparently somebody's on a run.
Because I don't let my grandkids, they come here usually every day. I didn't want them to go outside by themselves because you never know if they're still around.
Ennis says their peaceful community now shaken by this gruesome and violent crime.
I just hope if she's out there, she's gone away from here.
Another neighbor says he is now locking his doors, knowing the suspect has not been caught.
The police bumped the case to the top of their priority list to apprehend Alyssa, but family members like her grandmother felt differently about their intentions. She pleaded with authorities to try and help her, rather than crucify her before she hurt herself, as she believed her granddaughter couldn't have committed such a gruesome crime.
Who is worried is the suspect's grandmother, Jane Venables, who is making this plea to law enforcement.
I'm pleading for the authorities to consider this young woman as also someone who could be in desperate need of help. We think she is in harm's way, if not from someone else, from her own self.
While she admitted Alyssa was no saint, she just couldn't wrap her head around her granddaughter being the one responsible for such an act, and publicly begged her to reach out to her family.
The suspect's grandmother says while she's never been a saint, she's also not violent. She's begging her granddaughter to reach out.
If she's watching this right now, what do you want her to do?
Please call home. Please call home. She's being accused of a heinous crime, and we don't know the facts. We don't know. But right now, my granddaughter's missing, and we don't know if she's at risk of taking her life. So we would just say, please, AJ, call home. Just please call home.
Is there anything else you want to say?
That the family still loves her.
Withholding the names of the victims while relatives were informed, the public was thrust into a debate surrounding the innocence of Alyssa. Was she being blackmailed? Was she being bullied? Was she even the killer or the only person involved in the plot? Who was the 5th roommate who allegedly happened to stumble upon the first body? Many speculations arose, one in particular being how a 23-year-old woman could murder 2 males and a female at the same time on her own. Some clarity came when authorities released more information on the victims, but in the end, this only aimed to incite even more questions about Alyssa's living situation, because it was revealed the 3 victims were all elderly.
Deputies responded to a welfare check at the home on White Street Court Tuesday, where they found 77-year-old Robert John McGuire, 60-year-old Gregory Scott Powell, and 65-year-old Carol Ann Reese, all from Spotsylvania County, dead inside.
Many concerned persons from the public found it strange such a young woman was living with persons so far down in age, and the only assumption they could conclude was that it might have been an arrangement where it was a caretaker situation. The story felt too gruesome to simply be an act by one suspect who just found pleasure in committing such an atrocious murder on the elderly. Still, the fact was there were now 3 confirmed elderly victims in the household, another roommate who found one of the bodies, and another roommate allegedly on the run. So unfortunately for Alyssa, all fingers pointed to her.
County Sheriff's Office had put out a BOLO, be on the look for, so with their investigation they were able to narrow it down to our area, and then we utilized that information to obviously do our job. No, as the sheriff reiterated, I mentioned this is great police work. This is a very bad subject. Based on what we know from Virginia, somebody that we're glad to have off the streets.
Given the gravity of the case, the feds joined the pursuit to apprehend Alyssa. The first 24 hours passed and there was no sign of her, but on Thursday the 6th of June, New York State Police troopers in Steuben County spotted a gray 2009 Honda Civic that matched the description of the car Alyssa was known to drive and tried to pull it over. However, according to the sheriff's office, the driver refused to stop and a pursuit was initiated with speeds reaching 100 miles per hour. It was now a full-on high-speed chase, posing potential danger to innocent families just trying to have their daily commute. Officers knew they needed to act quickly to stop the vehicle before someone was hurt, or worse yet, added to the already triple body count.
On June 6th, the suspect vehicle was located on I-86 eastbound in the town of Angelica. That was out in Troop A. We initiated a traffic stop. She failed to comply with us, and we got into a pursuit with her.
A tire deflation device was deployed, puncturing the tires of the vehicle. This caused the driver, who was confirmed to be Alyssa, to lose control and crash into the guardrail.
They clocked her at 118 miles an hour. They used spikes to blow out the tires. Take a listen from police radio. Here is the moment that chase ended.
Just hit the guardrail on 36 overpass. Wrecked 36 overpass. Units slow down approaching overpass.
Copy. Wrecked on 36 overpass into the guardrail.
Alyssa was taken to a hospital for injuries that were not life-threatening, then detained in the Steuben County Jail the following day, while state police obtained a fugitive warrant for her extradition to Virginia. Added to the charge for 3 counts of second-degree murder, she also had to face charges for the use of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Police documents would soon reveal why that inclusion, along with troubling and gruesome details about the events that led to the triple homicide.
She was taken to Guthrie Corning Hospital for a complaint of pain. She was then released back into our custody, and she was taken to the Steuben County Jail.
With her arrest came past acquaintances who were doubtful of the role cops said she played in the triple murder. To their recollection, Alyssa was a sweet girl and could only do what she did if she was the victim. However, others who worked with her, employed her, lived with her, and went to school with her told a different side of Alyssa, a darker side that they believed was capable of committing the crime. To add insult to injury, one person shared their joy for her apprehension. According to their remarks, she knew the elderly woman who was one of Alyssa's alleged victims. Just a few weeks prior, they spoke to the victim and described her as a wonderful soul who she was looking forward to inspiring and encouraging. This hinted that maybe the victim was going through some hardship in her life. Why? We may never know. At a press conference with the media, State Trooper Linnea Crane informed the public that law enforcement is currently trying to piece together a timeline and motive to the murders while trying to track down anyone who had contact with Alyssa in recent days around and after the brutal slayings. What bothered them most was why Alyssa was on her way to New York.
This is where we have to put in the legwork. We want to cross our T's, dot our I's. This is the investigation portion of it. We want to figure out, what was the driving force? What was her why? Why was she up here?
New unearthed evidence from the investigations began exposing the devious plot behind her alleged actions. This is where things got really dark and disturbing. According to the obtained affidavit, the events of the triple murder began unfolding when a roommate entered the home about 10 p.m. and found one of the elderly victims on a couch with a pillow over his bleeding head. The roommate immediately left the home and called the sheriff's office. Documents further state that while authorities were en route to the location, that's when a friend of Alyssa called the police about the welfare check, stating that she dropped her dog off with him and was acting strange. That's 2 red flags from 2 separate people, but that wasn't all. There was a third person who now showed up at the police station telling authorities that Alyssa told her she hurt people and left behind a package with cash, all her account passwords, and instructions on how to take care of her dog. On arrival at the home, police found the other 2 victims. A woman was in the bathroom deceased from a gunshot wound to the head, and a man was found deceased in the garage covered by a table and mattress. Detectives from the sheriff's office subsequently executed 2 search warrants for the property. The first, issued just after midnight on June 5th, turned up 3 cartridge cases, 2 cell phones, a backpack with a tablet, a folder with documents, and a plastic bag with white crystals, possibly narcotics according to the warrant. The evidence was beginning to lead towards Alyssa, planning out the attack and tying up loose ends. But the question is, what was her end game, and why the elaborate scheme? Details would soon allude to the answers. A family of one of the victims told investigators that the victim had a sum of cash at the home, which led investigators to believe the motive may have been robbery, as the cash was missing from the house. This would give a plausible reason for the money Alyssa dropped off.
Detectives are still not sure where that cash came from, but later learned a family member of one of the victims said that victim had up to $7,000 in cash at the home, leading investigators to believe robbery may have been a motive.
As for the endgame, the third person who reported to the police station stated that along with the other items Alyssa left was a note stating she was going to unalive herself. She also informed police that Alyssa had a handgun that had been given to her by her grandfather.
Around the same time, a different friend showed up to the sheriff's office, telling deputies Venable told her she hurt people, and left behind a package which included cash, instructions on how to take care of her dog, and a note signaling she would take her own life.
The affidavit went on to detail Alyssa's alleged plot to end it all, but somewhere along the line her plans changed before she could carry it out, and she was apprehended. Detectives found a firearm in her car that matched the ammunition at the crime scene.
Detectives believe Venable went to West Virginia, where she told a friend she was going to California to take her own life. But this trip did not appear to happen. While in West Virginia, it's believed she got her hair cut to change her appearance, and soon after, her phone pinged in New York, where she led police on a high-speed chase before getting arrested. Detectives found a gun in her car with the same caliber ammunition found at the murder scene. All of these shocking details laid out across 3 separate search warrants.
Alyssa was extradited from New York, where she is now being held at the Rappahannock Regional Jail awaiting her next court date. The case is ongoing, and persons with any information are urged to contact Spotsylvania law officials to help assist in getting justice for a crime that took the lives of 3 elderly persons. May they rest in peace. For more true crime documentaries, check out one of the videos on the screen. This has been an episode of Mystories, where true stories from around the world come to life. What stories come next?